SEC. Some of it as early as August. A lot of it was in September. Most of that September vote was on a one date, September 22nd. There was actually more voting that took place after the election, not quite as much as before, but that voting took place in Charleston County. It was November 9th through about mid-December. Okay?
Have we figured this out? What doesn't happen again? I mean, who's doing this? Who's the culprits? Or it seems like we gotta do something here because it's gonna happen again and again.
Get rid of the machine.
That's right.
That's what we gotta do. We have to get rid of the machines.
Go back to
That's the
paper
thing.
ballot.
Everybody always talks about deceased voters, right? That's the big thing. And for years and years and years, have we not always
And you
heard
mean
that?
that the votes were counted between those 2 dates you just said? It's not that they actually
That means
voted.
in the database, it gives the last date that you voted. And the date for these people were before the vote was ever supposed to be counted, or after the vote was supposed to be counted. Okay?
How did that happen? How did it happen?
They did. The SEC gave us the file. That's how we ended up going to Canvas. We went by their data. Okay?
That's what I'm saying.
So if the data is that bad, and okay, it was a mistake, which a lot of it was in, like I said, September, then we should decertify because the data is that bad.
Yeah.
This is extremely bad. Remember now, we only did 5.85% of this, Charleston County. And like I said, a lot of people talk about deceased voters, but quite frankly, I think they thought that we would go for the deceased voters. They cleaned up a lot of the deceased voters, even though we still had voters, the people in the data in our file that had been deceased as far back as 2003. In Berkeley County, they had it in 1977. We actually found somebody on the roll in the state who was born in the 1800s.
Oh my God.
No, I watched the live discussion on Saturday. Could you explain the phantom voters?
Excuse me?
Phantom.
Phantom votes. Phantom votes is from where votes were cast
A vacant lot.
by people who should not have, either they didn't exist, or they were cast by people who should not have been registered in the house that they claim to be
So
registered at.
those people are the 96,000 that are counted as phantom voters.
Correct. Those, I believe those are the people that did not exist.
They didn't exist,
Yeah.
96. Complete, total made-up
Yeah.
people that did not vote,
So
that
they didn't
voted.
have the domiciles or anything of that?
We went to the Citadel because there was a lot of names on the Citadel, and you're thinking, well, there's a bunch of cadets, except for they also give us the birth date of people. And there's a lot of people on the Citadel list that were too old to be Citadel people, grads or Citadel
So you
cadets.
think this corruption also goes deep enough that Republicans are winning because of this
yeah.
corruption?
Yes.
In other
I'm
words,
telling you, this is a non-partisan,
Because I remember that
corruption.
Nancy Mace did very little campaigning. I know that Lindsey Graham did very little campaigning. And there was so much money for his opposition that one would think that he wouldn't have won by such margins. So do you think that other Republicans benefit from this corruption and malfeasance?
yes,
And they knowingly know that they benefit from this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
Both sides.
So anyway,
But I wanna just share something, like in Myrtle Beach, they went up, they only did like 17, they didn't do 501 or whatever. You had people voting at Dunkin' Donuts, you had people
Yes.
voting in vacant
They had a
lots.
lot of
So
business
you had
ones.
people vote, I mean, it was crazy.
in Oregon, yes.
So
And
you
like I
think
said,
this is why
this-
Lindsey Graham doesn't really get upset about things he says or does.
Exactly.
I don't want to
I
go
mean,
into
you think
Lindsey
that
Graham.
I really think that is the case and why many Republicans and many grinders do not come forward and do not challenge this. Because they themselves-
Let me tell you what, every person who was on our wall of shame, our table of shame, they were invited more than one time, and they didn't show up. If they didn't show up, they're in on the game.
Wow.
And it was huge, okay? Literally, we need to clean house,
Yes.
completely, 100%.
Absolutely.
Clean house, we need to throw out all the voter rolls and redo it. We need to get rid of the machines, and there is not a reason in the world why we can't have precinct captains that keep track of their precincts. They know who comes and goes in their precincts, and why we can't count the vote on election day.
So can you, before I go, so I want everyone to understand, in Wisconsin, they said, we're gonna throw out the voter rolls and redo them. They hired a company, 2 days later, Mark Zuckerberg bought the company. So one of the I'm not kidding,
Mark Zuckerberg, if you happen to have gotten a mail-in ballot from Charleston, from the state of South Carolina, but specifically I'm gonna talk about Charleston County, and now you're gonna go find out how you voted. When you go on the website to put in your information, that they told me that is Zuckerberg's group that maintains that data, which means Zuckerberg's group has our data.
so they
Not to mention Seidel in Spain has our data.
That's right.
Who, guess what? They went bankrupt, and the country of Spain took over that country. So we have another country that has our voter information.
And if you all remember, we had Isaac Kramer come to speak to us. And does anybody remember them saying that he gave them so much money to put, drop boxes all over?
Yeah.
So you've got to follow the money on this.
He wasn't allowed to do that. There were no drop boxes.
I
So
wanted
Isaac said that he gave them the money, so what did he use the money for then? I mean,
I think there's one major thing that I need to bring up before I take any questions. Again, I'm gonna say, we only did 5.85% in Charleston County. And I keep saying that because of what I'm fixing to tell you right now. With just 5.85%, 3 races, we had more than enough affidavits to say we have no idea who won those races. Those races were State House of Representative District 94, the coroner, and State Senate District 38. We had 6 other races that we had a pretty good chunk into them. Again, 5.85%. Those races are State House of Representatives District 115, the sheriff, solicitor Circuit 9, Consolidated School Board Peninsula, Consolidated School Board North Area, State House of Representative District 117. We have a major problem.
yes.
And our representatives that we voted in don't give a crap about it.
That's right.
We have to do something, and the next steps would be go to SC, safeelections.org, fill out the petition, do the next step, the action steps on there, and call. I don't know if calling does any good, but if you see them, make sure you talk to them and tell them we're going to get you out if you can't get behind us. Go ahead.
I